Hello, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be taking a look at the tropics and a bit of severe weather upcoming in the United States. Alright, to start off, we have mainly tropical weather to focus on in the North Atlantic Basin, and pretty much every other basin is inactive, though we are watching a possible system to form in the East Pacific, which would bring an end to the inactivity that we've seen since the beginning of the season there. In the Western Pacific, we're not watching any systems. The invest was dropped there, as well as in the North Atlantic, the North Indian, but still watching for possible systems in the 2-week period. Unlikely as of now, though. Alright, so we do have 4 areas of interest we're watching, 3 of them in the North Atlantic. First of all, we have Invest 94L, as marked right here. Still a very broad circulation, and not really well organized. Scattered thunderstorms moving onto the coast of Central America. For this system to really become named, it needs to get a proper circulation going, with convection wrapping around itself to get closer to that name, which would probably, if it were to become a tropical storm, it would be before landfall in mainland Mexico, after moving into the Bay of Campeche, like Alberto and our other system did, though naming before landfall in the Yucatan Peninsula is not out of the question. We do have some rainfall going on in Jamaica and Cuba associated with the system, so the rainfall amounts should definitely be watched. But the main story today is definitely our second disturbance right here, Invest 95L, which is moving off to the west and could impact parts of the Lesser Antilles. It is likely to impact Barbados, but could impact Trinidad and Tobago quite significantly as well. And a landfall in Puerto Rico is more unlikely, but still not out of the question, as it moves to the west and slightly to the north. Beyond there is more likely it moves into the Gulf, and whether it begins to weaken in this period, in this area, is unknown as of now. It looks possible, and it's unlikely it'll move north of Florida and could move towards Texas and Mexico beyond the 7 to 10 day range. This system could bring significant waves, and there's been a significant uptrend in intensity guidance with this system. It is expected to become a tropical storm and is likely to become a strong system, possibly a hurricane, and maybe even a major hurricane. Several models are now taking it past Category 3 and into Category 4 status. And a few days ago, the European model was actually hinting at a strong system, and the GFS has been showing a hurricane on several model runs. So we will continue to track that. Then our third area of interest, which is not marked by the National Hurricane Center, I've put at a low chance of forming, but nonetheless, it still has a chance of forming behind the system in a similar area that 95L is tracking, except it could move slightly to the north, and maybe even north of Hispaniola beyond the 7-day range. This other area of thunderstorms over Senegal right now and Guinea is not expected to form. That wave will be monitored, but it is not expected to form as of now. We have other storms over South America and Mexico, but those are just general thunderstorms. And then we also have the system right here, which is mainly extratropical, and will move to the northeast and is not expected to form. We also have, in the United States, now we have this cold front that moved through, bringing severe weather to the northeast, the mid-Atlantic, and southeast, after we had numerous severe thunderstorm watches yesterday. And nothing is expected to form out of the tail end of this cold front, which you do get that sometimes, but not expected this time. We do have some troughing going on, but this ridge is expected to push out the trough and bring some warmer weather back to the eastern United States. We do have some convection going up in the southeastern United States and slightly to the north of the Four Corners, and it's been a little bit cooler in the northeast and Midwest, but that does not mean it's going to be cold. There is still pretty warm temperatures, but below average temperatures overall. Alright, now taking a look at our areas of interest, we do have 4 we're watching. First, we have Invest 94L, or Disturbance 1, marked by the National Hurricane Center. They have stuck with 10% in the next 2 days and 30% in the next 7 days. I put this as 20% in the next week, and as it possibly develops, it will move through the Yucatan and towards mainland Mexico. This may become a potential tropical cyclone, as designated by the National Hurricane Center, so that would allow them to post advisories, though that is unlikely considering its development chance. Now looking at Invest 95L, or Disturbance 2, the National Hurricane Center is upped its chances to 60% in the next 2 days and 70% in the next 7 days, 80%. I put this at 90% since we are continuing to see an uptrend in the development chances. Now looking at our third AOI in the North Atlantic, it's not marked by the National Hurricane Center just yet, but I've given a 20% as it moves just to the north of where Invest 95L will track most likely. Finally, in the Eastern Pacific, we have one AOI, or area of interest, that is not marked by the National Hurricane Center, and I have put that as a 10% as it, a broad area of thunderstorms could form into a tropical system, maybe a depression or storm, south of Mexico, and then quickly move out to sea. So little land impacts, but could bring an end to the inactivity period of the Eastern Pacific. Alright, now taking a look at more in depth with our tropical systems. First, this is the satellite picture for the Atlantic Basin, and the only tropical waves we're watching for the National Hurricane Center now are both of our invests, which Invest 94L has a more broad area of tropical thunderstorms, and Invest 95L has a more tight area of thunderstorms that, if it continues to develop and have a proper low pressure center, it will be named soon. Very likely that it will form. In the next 7 days, again, the NHC has this as 80%, and the Disturbance 1 as at 30%. Nothing marked in the Eastern Pacific or the Central Pacific. According to the JTWC, no areas that are being watched. We have a lot of monsoonal activity going on in India, off of the western coast and towards the eastern coast. Our area over here is not marked anymore, and this area of thunderstorms is not expected to form into a tropical system anymore. It had a small chance of forming, though is not likely to form anymore at all. As you can see, there's nothing really going on in the tropical latitudes in the southern hemisphere. We do have some areas of thunderstorms near the equator and over Indonesia, and then just some frontal systems moving through New Zealand and other Pacific islands back to the east. Alright, now looking at our invests, we do have these infrared satellite looking at the system right here, currently just off the coast of Central America as it moves to the northeast, and is not expected to form just yet. Looking at the track guidance, we have mainly over open waters until it moves into the Yucatan and then making a final landfall in Mexico. These are the global models, and then we do have some other models bring it possibly down to 1,000 millibars, but not really any stronger than that. Now looking at the intensity guidance, most models bring this weaker than tropical storm force winds, though a few models bring it over the threshold of 39 miles per hour. Looking at Invest 95L now, we do have a new cluster of thunderstorms popping up right here, and really we've been seeing the rotation getting a little bit better on this system. Looking back on the global models, all of them take it into the Caribbean, so Jamaica could really be seeing impacts. Not a landfall in Puerto Rico or the northern Lesser Antilles expected, but definitely Barbados could see a landfall, and then Trinidad could see, and Tobago could see quite significant impacts. We'll have to see whether the Yucatan or Cuba will be impacted, and if it will make a turn north or continue its movement to the west. Some models take this down to 980 millibars or lower, so we'll be having to see how deep the low pressure center will get. Here are a lot of the intensity guidance models. We have most of these models coming up to tropical storm status. One does not. It keeps it at tropical depression status, but after 120 hours brings it up to a tropical storm. But every other model brings this to tropical storm force winds, and then most other models bring it to hurricane status at some point, with quite a few models actually bringing it up to category 3 or even 4 status. So definitely a thing to keep an eye on. Finally, we do have severe weather going on today. An enhanced risk was posted, and we have thunderstorms in the upper plains and Four Corner states up into Canada, and a marginal risk also posted for the Carolinas coast. Now we do have 4 severe thunderstorm warnings and a severe thunderstorm watches posted, but we do have a tornado watch now up for a part of western North Dakota. That encompasses the enhanced risk, but other tornadoes may be felt elsewhere, and the radar must be watched for people in that area. Now, looking at the risk for today, we have a 5% chance of tornadoes in the Dakotas, and then a chance of large, strong winds and large hail in the upper plains today. Looking at the fire risk, we could see some fire weather today in Idaho and Nevada, with just an elevated chance, but nonetheless still there, and then no critical areas as of now for tomorrow. So the fire weather looks to be a little bit better coming up. Now looking at tomorrow, we do have a slight risk up for mainly Iowa, Missouri, Nebraska, and Kansas, and a larger marginal risk moving up to the north. Really, this day could have all threats on the table with a 5% chance of tornadoes and a chance of strong winds and large hail past severe threshold in the Great Plains. So another day with a similar chance, just in a different area. Finally, we do have a slight risk posted for Ohio and Pennsylvania, and then a pretty large marginal risk extending down to the west. This is a pretty similar area from just yesterday in terms of severe weather, but slightly to the west. And then general thunderstorms could be felt all the way into the southeast. Then we do have a 15% chance of severe weather on day 5 and day 4 and day 5 in the upper plains, so a pretty similar area. So we could be seeing some pretty high rainfall amounts, relatively speaking, due to the fact that these storm systems are moving in similar areas. We do have 4 mesoscale discussions up, mainly for the tornadoes and severe hail and chance for wind. Lastly, we have a chance of heavy rain and flash flooding, as outlined in red, and cooler weather going on today in the northeast, with 2 cold fronts moving through, bringing slightly cooler weather than usual. Slightly cooler weather than previous days, and then a new system moving to the east, so we'll be continuing to track that. And then some flash flooding possible again in the Midwest tomorrow, and then on Saturday, just a chance of severe thunderstorms, and not too much flash flooding expected. Alright, I hope this was helpful, and thank you for watching.